Okay. We are back. And now I want us to talk about the project charter. If I said the project charter, obviously when you plan, you also use the information from the a project charter, as you can see here, is all about the statement of work. So you see when you do the project charter, you need to make sure that you put the title first, and then you must make it's like an estimate response document, the business case. When you say business case, is all about business plan in a way. It's a code. So like when we get codes, if you want to get quotations from the suppliers, yes, you can use that. So in a nutshell, it's all about you need to know why is it useful, how is it used. So listen up again for planning. We normally refer to what to the project chart. And again, when it comes to the scope management, we normally refer to the project charter. Because the project charter is like the first official document of the project. It has got what we need to do on it. You'll see but when we get the breakdown of what we can put there. So we know that companies are not the same, but at the end of the day, there are common things which can be part of the project charter. As I said, this is the first official document of the project. It's all about the statement of work, the scheme of work. What are we going to do? Can you see now?
Okay.
And it's like an early form of planning, if I can put it like that. It's planning, but it's like an early form of planning because before we plan, we must have this document so that we can use this document in order to because it has got everything we need for the project. I can say it's somewhere during the initiation phase. You know, between initiation phase and planning, somewhere in the in between is where we can come up with what? With the project charter. You know, the project charter obviously is where we come with the name of the project and put whatever we need to put there. But I'm going to show you the layout of that particular project. You can see here, this is just an example. So books have got different, they can have more. Can you see? This is the project charter, layout of the components. Let me just show you next. Yeah, so these are the components, or you can call them the content of the project charter. Obviously, it needs to have a name. So if they ask you, for example, in the exam, normally in the exam or the test or maybe the assignment, they ask for the project charter. They normally give you the layout of the project charter because some charters can be long, some charters can be short. So this is what you can put in your project charter. For example, you can put the project name, obviously the name of the project. If you've got an app and that app is called Silvestish app, you can put Silvestish app. And again, you must have a summary, executive summary of your project. In other words, you can talk about the history of your project, what you have done before. Can you see, just to give us an overview about your business, so that at the end of the day, we can be able to know that we can do good in this particular project. And you must also give us a brief description of your project. What is this project all about? Remember, sometimes when you deal with this project, sometimes you propose those projects. So you are trying to win the funders. So for you to win the funders, obviously they need to know more about what the description of the project that you are offering. What are you offering in this project? Can you see now? So that is very much important. You must also show the assigned project manager and team. You must show on that document who is the project manager, who are the team members, and things like that. What are the main objectives of this particular project? What do you want to achieve at the end of the day? If we are developing an app, obviously we want to make sure that we come in with an app which is very user friendly. Things like that. Those are the objectives of that particular project. Success criteria obviously is all about what will make this particular project a success at the end of the day. We need to make sure that this project is a success at the end of the day. Success, you must also have a statement about the success criteria for this particular project. So it's very much important when you are having dealing with the project charter to make sure that you come up with all those, the title of the project, for example, and you must also justify. It is important for you to justify this particular project. Okay, so there are many things that we can include. Like as I said, it's all about success. So when you talk about the success, it's all about the successful completion of this project. So we need to know what will make this project a success. Having enough budget, that will make us a project a success. Can you see now? So all those criteria must be there. And obviously, it's all about looking at the scope, it's all about looking at the time, things like the cost involved and the quality. So all those things will be another success, because if you mention the fact that you're going to you're going to have goods of higher quality at the end of the day, that is a success criteria. You see now, the time to complete, that is a success criteria. So again, success criteria can be part of that. You need to have what is specifications, because sometimes in a project they can come up with specifications. Like for example, if you are in a house, there are people who need to see their houses in a different way. Yes, a house can look like my neighbor, but I need a house uh, which has got this thing which is different from my neighbor. So all the specifications must also be um, put in that project charter. And even the budget, as you can see, the budget must be shown on the project charter. How much are we allocated? The breakdown of that budget, even the risk involved. Just talk about the risks which are involved in this project. So make sure that the risks are always there, identified. You see the approval requirement. In other words, for the project to be approved, obviously, we need to make sure that there are things which need to be in place before they can be approved. So, for example, before a house plan can be approved, there are things which need to be followed. Maybe we need to go to the municipality so that the municipality can help us to approve that particular plan. And authorizations, what we mean by say authorization is about the authority that the project manager has. You see now. And again, to show that we've got approvals and the authority can see on that particular project charter, you see some signatures, from the funders, the signatures from what? From the project manager. It means the project has been authorized and the project manager has been given power to continue with the project. So a project charter can contain different layouts. So it's not all about what you contain here. There are other things that you can also include. For example, the duration of the project. You can also include what you call the project duration, because that is very much important. That's what I'm saying. When they're asking you in the exam, they can give you some, they can give you a layout. Project charters do have different, people have got different. Um, Let me just go there. This slide is just going automatically. Let me go back. Yeah. So I was trying to do this. Yeah. So the other one, you can say something like, yeah. So the network is misbehaving now. Just bear with me for now. It's not responding the way I want it to. Let me change the color here. So a project duration can also be part of what? Of the project charter. Okay. Even the milestones, that we can put milestones as part of the charter. And let me just write it down so that you can see what I'm talking about. Milestones, you can put milestones. Milestones are like the critical part at the end of the day. So can you write it here again? The system is a little bit slow, but I'm gonna use the milestones can also be part of the project charter. It's all about the duration at the end of the day. Yeah, so we need to make sure that we put what's important in this document. The scope statement must be part of that. There are various things which you can put And again, they can also ask you for the justification. For example, you must justify whether this project, because sometimes remember you are selling this to the funders, so you need to justify your case, because those people cannot just fund without justification. Sometimes you can also include the justification. You know, tell them that why do you think this will be a success? You can tell them that there's no other project who can do better than us, or maybe there is no competition. Okay, at the end of the day, so make sure that you put as much information as possible. Any questions? Jana?
Yes, sir.
No, still with me?
So,
I can only
yeah,
hear
yeah,
the
yeah.
sound of the phone.
Oh,
It's okay.
sorry. I don't
As
know
long as
what's
you're
going
still
on
with
with
me.
my mic. Sorry, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So as long as it makes sense, I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. Okay. Let's try this one. So here I just further elaborate like the guidelines of if you want to create a charter. These are just the guidelines. So this is like common things that you need to do. Obviously, you must involve the team. You must make sure that everyone is committed from the early stage. You must know the people that are going to be affected by the project. As you can see here, we've got the stakeholders. You need to identify the stakeholders, and you must also make sure that you involve those stakeholders. You must involve them because they are part of this project. Because if you don't involve them, they're gonna blame you at a later stage and say, no, why are you not involving us? That's why I said you must have ways of communicating with them. Practice sustainable stakeholder engagement. You must engage with them on a regular basis. Even though you cannot see them every day, please update them. Have a newsletter every weekend. Have a newsletter. Update them about the project. How far is the mall? Sometimes when they are building a mall, they always update you. Hey, we finished phase one, and we're gonna open this mall on the 30th of June, something like that. So that way is a way of engaging with your stakeholders because they want to be well informed. Because when you open the mall, they want to come and buy, things like that. So engage with all the stakeholders. So that is very much important. The engagement of all the stakeholders. Okay, let's take it a much. Next. You can also include the risk involved, things like that. So you can include as much as possible. So in the process of dealing with this project charter, so at the end of the day, you will end up using it to develop, like, let's say, for example, thereafter you can develop a project plan out of that charter. So after developing, obviously, remember, it's all about managing, it's all about monitoring. So we talked about these things there. So a project charter, as I said, it is between initiation and planning. So I can say early stages of planning, late stages of what? Of initiation. It is somewhere there at the end of the day. So again, you can use it to plan, you can use it to execute. So that is a formal document, official formal document, the first formal document. So it is very much important so that you can be able to make this project a success at the end of the day. Okay, so it's important for us to have a project. It's a document itself. It's very formalized, very structured. So we must make sure that everyone knows about that project charter. And then how can we communicate with them? As I said, there are various ways of communicating. You can just decide how are you going to communicate with them at the end of the day. Okay, so it is important for us to communicate with them. Yes, let me just. Now, remember the other thing from the previous page, we talked about the performance integrated change control. You must perform integrated change control. Remember, I said you can change your plan. You can change what is going on with the project. But again, you cannot just change. There are procedures which we need to follow in order for us to be able to change. Let me just try to zoom again. Maybe it will be much better. Yeah, so I think it's much better. As you can see here, the first thing that you need to do when you change, you must evaluate the project performance first. You can't just change. I think the reason why we change is because we evaluated their performance, irrespective of the project. Before I can change the way I do things, is because I evaluated the way I perform and I realized that no, man, I need to change here and there. So obviously, the first thing that you need to do, you need to evaluate the performance of the project, and thereafter, you need to make sure that you identify the need for change. You can't just change. There are various ways, there are various reasons why we change. Maybe we change because things are not according to the expectations, or maybe we change because we're being requested by the funders to change. We change because we made incorrect measurements. Let's say we are building a house. We realize that hey, our house is a little bit skewed. So there are various reasons why we can change. But again, the change needs to be identified and it needs to be approved at the end of the day. Now, so we need to make sure that we check there's a need to change. If there's a need to change, we need to request that change. Now, we can't just change because I'm a project manager and I end up changing. Now, we need to change. The change request is generated outlining the impact on the change. So we need to make sure that when we request that particular change, we must check the impact of that particular change. Remember, I said it can affect your time, it can affect your quality, it can affect your cost. So you need to check the impact on that particular change. Now, change request is proposed to the client or the sponsor. Remember, you are the one who identified the need to change. Now that identification must be taken to the funders so that they can look at it. They will either accept it or decline it. It's up to them. But I'm telling you, if the change is evident, if the change is understandable, if the change is necessary, it means at the end of the day, they will end up approving it. That's why you can see here, after you gave those people, now those people can either accept or decline it. After accepting and declining it, for example, the project management plan, let's say they change it, in other words, the project management plan must be updated because if you change it, it means you are going to change the plan. And you must include those changes which you made. But remember, you can only do that after you got approval from the steps. Sponsors. So you need to make sure that you check that. After noting those changes, you must make sure that you issue instructions and put changes into practice. Because just imagine if you make changes, you don't tell the team members about, let's say you tell your, I can say, for example, you don't tell your team members, you just change it and you leave it. I think maybe something like this has happened to you. Think about having a group in your class and then you have got this group work, but they change the plans and they don't tell you. Okay, listen now. Or you were supposed to come and meet here at the campus, they decide not to come to the campus, they don't tell you. You will come to the campus, you won't find them. So the change must be communicated to the team members so that they can be able to see that there's been a change. So again, before you can put it into practice, you must tell all the relevant stakeholders about the change. I hope that it makes sense.
It makes sense, sir.
No problem. Thanks so much. I know we spoke a lot about this project scope management. We said we need to know our scope, our focus area. because we need to know where to focus on our capacity. But for us to come up with planning the scope, we need to collect the requirements. We need to have more information about what do we require in this project so that we can put it in our scope. But again, collecting requirements is all about interacting with the stakeholders, making sure that you get more information from them. What do they need? What do they have? And then there are various ways of finding information from them. You can either interview them, you can call them for a meeting, you can email them. There are various ways of collecting requirements at the end of the day. Remember, this information will help you to come up with a better scope. And thereafter, you must define the scope. Obviously, you must make sure that you tell us more about the scope, the boundaries, where are we going to focus, what are we going to do, things like that. And you must also create what we call the work breakdown structure. You will see by the time when we deal with this, the work down, for example, structure is something like this. Let's say you are dealing with an app. I'm just going to give you an example here. So I'm dealing with an app. This is my app, and then this is going to be something like this. You'll see by the time when we do that. And then you're going to have the app. Let's say, for example, firstly, I need to design the app. I'm going to design the app. I'm just going to say we design the app. And then the next thing that we do, let's say we build the app. I'm just giving you an example, okay? Just write it like this. We build an app. So this is just a random example. Can you see it? Let's say this is I'm going to have something like this. You'll see by the time when we do the work breakdown, it's going to be something like this. Something like this. Something like this. Can you see? Never mind, I don't have a ruler, so it's cute, I know. So it means we call this, can you see the design and the building? This is build the app. We call them deliverables. These are the main things that we need to deliver, deliverables. So under each and every deliverables, for example, this will be, for example, number one. I'm just giving an example. And then the building here, when we build the app, it's going to be number two. It's the number two deliverable. Can you see now? So, and then it means under each and every deliverables, we're going to have activities. You will see under design here, I'm going to have something like 1.1. So when I say 1.1, I must just tell what am I going to do? I must get, for example, get drawing board. I'm just giving an example as one of the activities. Activity one, I'm just gonna say, let me just, can you see now? And then 1.2, for example, by 10. So I'm just giving a random example because I'm gonna design brief technicians. So I'm just giving you a random example. This is what we're gonna do. You will see it will appear now. Can you see now? So this is how are we gonna we call it a WBS, the work breakdown structure. So under each and every deliverable, we are going to have activities. Even this one is gonna have its own activities, but its activities are gonna be 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. If you're having the third one, 3.1, 3.2, 0.3. These are called activities, and this is called deliverables, but we still have to talk about them. That's why they say you must create a work breakdown structure. Sometimes work breakdown structure. In short, you will see in your book sometimes they do say WBS. Don't be confused when they say WBS, they mean, and write it down, WBS, they mean work breakdown structure. Okay, that is what they mean. So WBS, they mean work breakdown structure. So this is what they mean. Okay. So again, you need to create and make sure that you validate the scope, because the scope needs to be well understood. So make sure that it makes sense at the end of the day, validate it so that everyone in that particular project can understand what it comes to what to this particular project. So it's very much important to put all the information so that the scope can make sense. Okay. And thereafter, you must control the scope. In other words, it's all about monitoring. You cannot just have the scope and thereafter relax. You must keep on checking if the scope is still up to date, if there are any changes which you did not put, which have been made, and things like that. So it's very much important for you to be able to understand the scope management. Okay. Remember, still under the, so we talked about the collecting requirements from the list there. So which method can you use? Like, for example, there are different methods that you can use to collect the requirements. For example, interviews, convening focus groups, facilitating, brainstorming, surveys, observing similar operations, construction. So there are various ways of getting information about the project so that you can be able to come up with a better scope. Remember, you need as much information as possible. So it means at the end of the day, you can use any one of these things in order to collect the requirements of the project so that we can be able to come up with a proper scope. So it's important for us to be able to come up with a better scope at the end of the day. So we must make sure that we come up with a better example of that. Okay, so you can see we've got interviews here, you can have brainstorming sessions, observing other operations, constructions, prototype, technical diagrams. So there are many methods that you can use. You can even email people for those surveys and things like that. So there are various ways of getting that particular information. Okay. So the next thing that you'll see here is all about, and you'll see it's coming up. We're still under scope management. This is when you are drafting a scope statement. Remember, scope statement is all about what are we going to do in this project, the scope of the project, what do you need to focus on, things like that. So all you need to have the scope description. You need to describe the scope of this particular project. Make sure that the scope is well understood. Okay, so when you are explaining all this, you need to keep in mind that the stakeholders are the ones who are going to use this scope at the end of the day. Okay, so we need to make sure that we come up with a better way of defining this particular scope at the end of the day. So we need to make sure that we define the scope very well, and then the acceptance criteria obviously is all about the criteria that we are going to use in order for us to be able to continue with this particular project. The other one is all about the deliverables. Remember, I talked about the deliverables. These are the main things which we can you see? Sorry, this one, this one. Remember when I was talking about the design of the design and building, those are the deliverables. So if let's say, for example, let's talk about the venue. Let's say you're having a wedding. A venue itself, a venue, a venue will be a deliverable. A venue will be a deliverable. Listen. So again, deliverables are the main things that you are going to deliver. So if you don't satisfy those things, your project won't be a success. Catering is a deliverable. Designing is a deliverable. Foundation is a deliverable. Painting is a deliverable. So it depends on your project. Okay. And again, you must also include what you call the project exclusion. So if you're in a project, sometimes you need to tell the funders and tell them that yes, I'm going to help you with this project, but these things are not going to be covered. It's like, for example, I'm running a tutorial project. Let's say I'm teaching you for 6 months. It's a project of tutorial. I'll say, I will teach you, I'll give you everything, but you need to come with your own books. Those are the exclusions. In a project, you must also have those things. And say, okay, yes, in this project, we're going to do this and this and this and this. But however, just know that we are not going to cover this and this and this. Those are what? The project exclusions. Okay. The other thing will be the constraints. Remember, the constraints are the limitations in this project, things which we cannot control. Quality can, obviously, the quality can be a constraint at the end of the day. The risk involved. So the risk itself is a constraint. The budget itself is a constraint because the budgets are limited. So constraints are things which we cannot control. We just have to work with what we have. So you must also put those constraints so that we can know that 1 million, so we cannot exit 1 million. So, and then again, the risk involved, you can put them under the constraints. So constraints are limitations of this particular project. You must also highlight the assumptions. What we mean by say assumptions? Sometimes there are things which are part of the project, but we cannot prove that we have them. We can assume that at the moment we are going to have them. Let's say, for example, we are going to start a project and we need a financial accountant for that project. And we know that we did not secure the services of that particular financial accountant. But we know that there's an accountant that we're going to use. We need to be fair from the start and tell them that we will be having the financial accountant, but we did not yet contracted the accountant. Now, in those, we assume that everything is covered, but be honest with them and tell them that nothing is on paper yet, but we know that we're going to get someone. So be honest with the funders so that if it happens that you don't get that particular financial accountant, you will end up being, they will not be surprised about it. Because remember, they're the ones who give you money. So you need to make sure that you inform them about everything that affects that particular project. Okay, those are the assumptions. So what this is I was talking about the work breakdown structure. You will see. Like I just gave you an example. It's like when we cut our tasks into smaller pieces or our work into smaller pieces so that we can easily manage them. You see now it's like breaking down project into smaller and more manageable pieces. A WBS is a basis for creating project schedule. So like I said, it's very much important that WBS, because at the end of the day, WBS is like a map. It shows us what are we going to focus, the deliverables. It shows us, for example, it summarizes the scope of the project. So at the end of the day, so this is an example of I just came up with something, something short just to show you an example. This is what we call the work breakdown. You can see I'm building a house here. This is the work breakdown structure. I'm building a house. Can you see? I came with this. I call this deliverables. Remember, I call these things. They are called deliverables. Deliverables. I call them deliverables. And then, in other words, here I've got only 3 deliverables, meaning these are the main things that I need to do. I must focus internally in the house. I must focus on the foundation. I must focus on the external, meaning these are called deliverables. And this will be called the title or the name, the project title or the name. Okay, this is called the project title or the name. And then these are the deliverables and all these things here, all these things here, all of them here. These ones, these ones. These ones are called activities, or we can call them tasks. We can call them, these are all tasks. Can you see now? These are activities, or you can call them tasks. So a work breakdown structure has got the deliverables, and under each and every deliverable, you will find some tasks. What are we going to do? If you're having a wedding, when you going for your food, so obviously when you food will be a deliverable. So it means it's like catering. So when you deal with the catering, you know that you must go and find the caterer. Let's say you go and find 5 caterers. Number 1, number 1.1, number 1.2. Out of 5 caterers, select the best 2. 1.3, choose your best caterer. 1.4, taste the foods. 1.5, pay 10% deposit. Can you see now? You take step by step. They must be sequenced. You can come with as many activities as possible. It's up to you at the end of the day. You need to come up with the activities. Again, are you still okay? I think I don't want to bombard you. So next time when we come, I'm gonna repeat what I said with the work breakdown structure, and I'm gonna take it further. So if you have any questions, I think we can call it a day for today, because I'm also wanna go and eat something before I go to the next class. Let me give you an opportunity to ask a question.
No, I don't have any questions, sir.
Okay, no problem. So I'm just gonna load some few ice tasks. I'm just gonna, because I'm just gonna give you time. I'm not gonna give you any deadline. I just to give you so that you can do them within your pace. Is it okay?
No problem, sir.
No problem. I appreciate. Remember, if you are not here, I wouldn't have any students. So I appreciate you attending my lesson. Thank you so much. I'll see you.
Sorry, sir, my mic stopped working. Thank you so much for the lesson.
Nice. Okay. Thank you very much for attending today. I appreciate it.